The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Youmans.
It's a Talkin Tuesday edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company live from the Star in Frisco, Texas in the SWBC studios. Welcome in, everybody. We've got a Talkin Tuesday, 888-855-2297. My question going into the day was going to be, should the Cowboys be buyers or sellers in today's trade deadline? Well, as of a couple moments ago, it appears we've found out at least semi-directional where
mere
the Cowboys
minutes
are
ago.
headed. Literally, as we were in the studio, this breaks. I mean, Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan. We've got Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Chris Beam, by the way. I'm Kyle Youmans. Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan, the flagship station for your Dallas Cowboys, said, we're trading for a wide receiver.
That's what he said.
He said it, and then since then, multiple reports have now surfaced that the Cowboys have traded with the Carolina Panthers.
Yes, so that's the breaking news coming in. Jerry set it up, and a few minutes after he hung up with 105.3 The Fan, the deal was being reported by multiple outlets, Tom Pelissero of NFL Network and Ian Rappaport breaking the initial news. Jonathan Mingo is reportedly headed to Dallas from Charlotte. Jonathan Mingo will be accompanied in his carry-on with a 2025 seventh-round pick that the Panthers are also including in the package, and the Cowboys are set to send a 2025 fourth-round pick in exchange for that package. And that's where we are right now. That ties into the news that as we have a wide receiver coming in to hopefully help the Cowboys offense, they're losing their franchise quarterback for a minimum of 4 games. Dak Prescott is likely to head to injured reserve per Jerry Jones, which means he will not be eligible to return until December 9th at the earliest, which is versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And we've already talked about this 4-game gauntlet that they're about to go up against. Per Mike McCarthy, he was unequivocal in what the QB rotation will be against Philly and going forward. It will be Cooper Rush as the starter. Trey Lance is going to be your number 2. So a lot of moving pieces there for the Cowboys offense heading into Week 10.
So just to clean it all up, Jonathan Mingo and a 7th rounder coming from Carolina to Dallas, and you exchange a 4th-round pick for that. So you basically pick swap a 4th and 7th round pick. That's not an easy pick swap, but you get Jonathan Mingo, who, as he walks in the building today, in the current state of this Dallas Cowboys roster, will be your wide receiver 2. That is what you just traded for, is a wide receiver 2.
Right.
Your future wide receiver 2 as well.
Young wide receiver 2 as well.
Because he's contractually speaking, for those that are wondering, and I know you are because you love the science like we do. So this is a young man who's still on his rookie deal. This is only the 2nd year of his rookie deal. So he's contracted through 2026 should the Cowboys keep him throughout the rest of that deal. So this is, you talk about Brandon Cooks, who is eligible to see his 21-day window activated on tomorrow, Wednesday's practice, but Brandon Cooks is an unrestricted free agent after this season. By trading for Jonathan Mingo, you guarantee the WR2 situation opposite C.D. Lamb beyond January, February, or December, whenever this season ends.
Yeah, when we were talking about it, we were talking about a potential trade at wide receiver a few weeks back when we were still sort of in.
That was the one you wanted to do.
That was the one that I wanted to do because even with Brandon Cooks in the mix, I felt like a wide receiver, an actual clear-cut wide receiver 2, an actual threat on the outside gives you a chance and will be able to open up the run. I think at least for now, you look at Rico doing good things behind this line. He was averaging over 6 yards a carry last week, even though it resulted in a loss. I think they're starting to find some footing in the running game. Now that you have an actual threat on the outside, it opens it up even more.
Yeah.
I like the trade, maybe a little too rich for my taste.
Sure.
But ultimately, like Patrik said, you have him under contract until 2026. So now that is your clear-cut wide receiver 2.
Yeah, clear cut. He was a 2023 second-round pick. And I went back into my notes. I had a fourth-round grade on him, so they went a little bit high. Carolina did in drafting him in the second round. But there were a lot of individuals around the league that had him as a top 60 player. I didn't. I had him, where did I have him at overall? I had him at 124 overall in that draft class, which I guess now hindsight 2020, he was on a bad football team, but I think 124 in a fourth-round grade was right around where I would have valued Jonathan Mingo and what he's done so far in the NFL. 43 receptions, 418 yards. He did not have a single touchdown his rookie year. Then in 2024, this year, as a 23-year-old, he has 12 receptions, 121 yards, and no touchdowns as well. He's yet to catch a touchdown pass in the NFL during a regular season game. So, like I said, that's a bad football team. That is a bad offense. And he kind of got buried in the depth chart because they went out and grabbed guys like Adam Thielen. And there's another name there in Carolina that I'm blanking on currently, but they're a bad football team, so who really cares? The thing about Jonathan Mingo is that he does present a steady hand in terms of the wide receiver position that you haven't necessarily had without Brandon Cooks in the fold.
Correct. But here's my problem with it. And I think Mingo has potential. Two things are true. I believe he has potential. I believe this is too rich for my blood.
Agreed.
On the fourth-round pick.
Yes.
I believe this is an overpay. And I believe this is an overpay driven by a sense of desperation, whether the front office will admit it or not, because you're 3-5. You're coming off your third consecutive loss. You haven't won at home, and now your next home game is against the Philadelphia Eagles. You're heading into this 4-game gauntlet. You lose you might lose wide receiver one. He's likely to play, but he's not healthy at all. He's far below healthy. And then Dak Prescott, you lose your franchise quarterback for a minimum 4 games. Things are spiraling. Right. So I think the Panthers knew that, and Panthers said, hey, you're going to have to overpay if you want to get Jonathan Mingo. So, again, the potential is there. But when you look at, what he was unable to do, and like you said, Kyle, you're accurate. The Panthers are a bad team, and they were a bad offense. The Cowboys right now are a bad team, and the Cowboys have a bad offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Okay, so you're giving up a fourth-round pick for a guy
to take a shot on a guy.
To take a shot on the guy who wasn't able to produce on a bad offense, and I say that because he has to be thrown the ball by a quality quarterback, and things have to happen.
He
right?
at least has
the
one
QB,
of those there,
right.
which is nice.
Which is fair.
And the QB position in Carolina
I
is up for debate at this point.
And there's
no consistency there.
I say that
either.
to say, kind of segue back to what I said yesterday, which was, and this is not a shot at Mingo. Again, I believe he has potential. But even if this was a blockbuster trade, the blockbuster trade doesn't fix nearly as many issues as you need repaired in order for the season to get back on track. So what you're going to need is Jonathan Mingo or someone, of a higher caliber. And then you're still going to need to fix the penalties, and you're still going to need to fix your red zone issues, and you're still going to need to fix your takeaway issues or your lack of takeaways on defense, and you need to fix your missed tackles, and you need to fix your execution, and you need to fix some of the play calling. So all of this needs to be fixed. Yeah. So when Jerry Jones told 105.3 The Fan this morning that the move, before the news came of the move, that it would be a receiver and maybe like quote-unquote a storybook type move, we read two different types of storybooks, I guess. Because this is a move. It's a quality move. Mm-hmm. I agree with the move. I disagree with the compensation for it.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
But even on its face, this doesn't hit storybook for me. Now, the Cowboys still have until 3 p.m. Central Time for today's deadline to make an additional move that maybe fits.
Maybe they're trading for another wide receiver.
Maybe
but
it's
they just gave
up a fourth, so now what are you giving up?
Yeah, I don't know.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So also they're kind of passing out fourth rounders. And I get it, compensatory formula as well. So they're banking on getting some of these back. So that's in the mix as well. It's more chess than checkers. But I don't have a problem with the move.
It's going to be a high fourth, too.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the move. I do have a problem with the compensation. But, yeah, like you said, Kyle, this is also a future move. Right?
Yes.
This is a future-proof move. So
It solidifies the wide receiver core for the next couple of years at least, and especially with you have Kevontae Turpin out there who's, just the wide receiver core that you have. There are deficiencies there, obviously, deficiencies in the run blocking, deficiencies in receiving, actually catching the ball downfield. I think some players are playing out of position at the moment, and at least you solidify that wide receiver too yet again. Just to reiterate that point. I think it's a solid move to Rich.
Yeah, this is not the 2018 Cowboys at 3-4 going into Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans and trading for Amari Cooper. That's not what this is.
That's not that.
This is let's give this guy who's 23 years old, who was a second-round pick out of Ole Miss, give him a shot to find his footing in Dallas as opposed to elsewhere, because Carolina's selling pieces. They're gonna continue to be bad for the foreseeable future, and they're gonna sell some of their high-end pieces as the years go along and continue to try and stack up draft picks. So Dallas looks at it and says, hey, we're going to try and pick swap. We've got a 7th coming back here. But if it was a 5th, I think I would be a little bit more excited.
I would be more
because
with that.
if we're talking middle day 2 picks, and if you're trying to set up a wide receiver 2 on your roster for the future, by all means, all right, sounds good. But a 4th-round pick is a premium pick.
Would you trade Jake Ferguson for Jonathan Mingo? So that's where I get stuck.
And I get it. There's probably some
Who's drafting the 4th round for those that don't know?
Yeah, there's some pause on how have the Cowboys used that 4th-round pick in the past? How have they used it in the past? Well, they used it last year on Trey Lance. A couple years prior, they used it on Jake Ferguson.
And the Trey Lance thing, you see what I mean?
Yeah, they're throwing it out there a couple different times. So they obviously don't have a huge respect for that 4th-round pick, and they're going to go try and find a wide receiver too. If you had,
You're counting on comp picks, though, to be fair.
absolutely, depending
that's
on
what it is.
who
Depending
comes
on where
in.
they are,
Yeah. My thought process is,
So it's not that you won't have a 4th-round pick.
It's difficult to get. I mean, the 4th-round comp.
That's a high comp.
Yeah,
Maybe Tyron Smith, maybe?
No, I don't think his
You don't think
contract.
so?
Yeah, his deal's not big enough for
Yeah,
a
I didn't think
4th.
so either.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to think of who even would be there. I don't think they have one.
I don't think
But my thought process is, if you're going into April's draft and we're on the draft show and we're talking about it and there's not a move made today and you have that 4th-round pick, would you be okay using that 4th-round pick to get your wide receiver too?
And that's an excellent way of framing it, because that's basically
I would be
more or
totally
less that's
fine
how
with
they're
that.
looking at it.
And that's
more
how
or
they're
less,
looking
because
at it.
they have several years left on this particular deal. Now, the caveat is you don't have 4 years of Mingo. You have 2.5, but the framing is correct. Though.
And you have the film of him being in the NFL and seeing what he can do. So I feel confident in them saying, hey, we've seen something that we feel like we can bring out of this guy, and we can put him in a decent offense. Of course, there's a lot to work on in this offense. But when Dak Prescott comes back, Jonathan Mingo is going to benefit significantly over guys like Bryce Young. And, I mean, the last time the Cowboys were missing
Maybe
Cooper Rush and Dak Prescott, you had Andy Dalton back there too. So,
but maybe he benefits greatly, and I say that because let's just shoot it straight. Before Dak went down, the offense was struggling. The offense was struggling in the red zone. They were not struggling to move the ball. They could move the ball. But once they got to the opponent's 30 and in the red zone, the wheels would fall off, okay? They are struggling with chunk plays mightily. They cannot get chunk plays.
Even when the ball was in the right spot.
Defenses are playing too high safety because they're basically daring CeeDee Lamb to right. So now CeeDee Lamb, he's battling the sprained AC joint. We'll see how he feels, by the time Dak gets back. But CeeDee apparently isn't taking any time to rest. So how can you heal if you're still getting hit on that shoulder? So CeeDee might not be 100% when Dak comes back. Dak will need to work his way back. It'll be December. What will the record be at that point? Can Cooper Rush stave off, a possible 3 or 4 game losing streak in addition to the 3, which makes it a 6 or 7 game losing streak? All these things have to come together and be perfect so that when Mingo comes back, schematically, things have to be better. Execution has to be better in order for the offense to take off, for it to matter this year.
yes.
That Mingo is here, because otherwise we're talking about it mattering for next year.
I don't think this is a this year move.
And that is exactly what I'm getting
which
at.
is why I don't want to
That's
give
what
up a
I'm getting
4th-round
at.
pick for it. That's where the
you need
conversation.
that.
That's where the
Right
conversation has. As I have
Right
a
here.
problem with what they gave up. And now, like I said, if you frame it in the context of in the next 2 years you have a wide receiver 2 and you used a 4th-round pick to get there, great. But if you're talking about future potential and you're talking about a guy who's young like that, I would rather do a 5th-round pick and a pick swap with my 7th. At least you still have the same number of darts to throw at the dartboard because you flip picks. But a 4th-round pick that's a heavy price to pay for a guy who's probably not going to be a game changer in 2024 specifically.
He's graded 90th out of 91 wide receivers.
We're going to take our first break here. No, we are going to take our first break because I do want to talk to Cowboys Nation.
Yeah,
888-855-2297. The Cowboys trade for Jonathan Mingo. Do you want them to sell at the deadline too if we knock this one off as a future compensation move? This is something for the future. Would you rather the Cowboys be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? When we come back with more Talking Cowboys.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco. This portion of the show is brought to you by Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Quaker Oats, trusted since 1877. Would you like to share with the class, Josh Rodriguez, what you just enlightened us to? And I think everybody probably has already looked at this.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys.
I just want to put it on the airwaves.
Right. The Dallas Cowboys gave more, or I'm sorry, they paid more than they acquired. What's I completely botched it.
They gave up more to acquire Mingo than they acquired by sending Amari Cooper to Cleveland.
Kyle put me on the spot, and I was like, wait a second. What did I say?
It's the stage fright for me.
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about, dude?
You just said it like 30 seconds
so
before we got back.
I just said it.
And then as soon as the camera went hot, Mike went hot, you're like...
I was lobbing it up for Josh because he just said it like right before we went on air. And we were all like, wow, great, love that.
Yeah.
This guy voted this morning in America. Just letting y'all know.
Yummy.
I'm glad we can still laugh.
All right, boys.
Yeah, no, that's rough.
I'm glad we can still laugh.
That's rough.
Cowboys acquired Jonathan Mingo for more draft capital than what they got in return for Amari Cooper.
Did you know?
Not great, Bob.
Did you know?
Not great, Bob. The more you know.
Yeah.
So
I'm out of that one.
Yeah, I'm out on the compensation for this one. It's just too rich. But let's see what the Cowboys Nation thinks about it.
888-855.
I know what they think about it.
2297. 888-855-2297. Talking Tuesday. Chris Beam, do we have anybody on the line back there?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh no, it is a Talking Tuesday.
It is a Talking Tuesday.
Oh no.
It is.
Yeah.
No, man. Let
we got to let the people
in and say it with your chest when you come on in.
888-855-2297. Give us a call. But while we're waiting on the phone lines to start ringing, Patrick, you mentioned IR possibly for Dak. Were there any other takeaways from Jerry?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there was. So Dak likely headed to IR, and then you got CD likely to be available against the Eagles. We'll see how things play out in practice. Ezekiel Elliott is also likely to be available versus the Eagles per Jerry Jones to the Fan. And we will see what that means, because being available and being active are two different things entirely. But what that statement does tell me and the rest of Cowboys Nation who are wondering is that the future of Ezekiel Elliott as far as the remainder of this season appears to be in Dallas. Right. So there was some people wondering if the team discipline situation would escalate to possibly a release and the two part ways again. But that does not seem to be the case at all. Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones are pretty much in lockstep as far as Ezekiel Elliott. Sounds like whatever conversations they had after that situation, everybody's back on the same page. So now the question for Zeke just becomes, will they make him active on Sunday? Mm-hmm. And if they do, does that mean Dalvin Cook is not elevated a third time? And if Dalvin Cook is and Zeke is active, like, how do you work that? Because Rico Dowdle just showed you once again that he can produce at a strong level if you continue to give him the ball for momentum purposes. So, yeah, that was another big takeaway is Zeke is likely to be all set for Philly.
Good news.
For the game against Philly, but we'll see if he's made inactive or not.
Good news. Despite what has happened recently with Zeke, he's a legend in these uniforms. I mean, he's a legend for the Cowboys and what he's done throughout his career. You never want to see it in the way that it could have ended if they cut ties and keep him out and inactive and whatever it may be. So he's got a bit of a redemption opportunity this week, and I hope he takes advantage of it. And again, I mean, we've said it on these airways before, as much as we're analytical and we're critical of this team and their performance, it would be a lot better if they just played well. So I would love for Zeke to have some success. It would be so much more fun to cheer for Zeke as opposed to analyze what they can do elsewhere.
Cowboys fans are really giving their feedback on Twitter right now. I'll tell you that.
Oh, man.
Because,
I'm not even on it right now. I haven't.
Well, I'm on it just checking to see what the comments are for Talkin Cowboys, so people know that they need to dial in and voice.
Sure. Isaiah said he's trying to give a call in, by the way.
Yeah.
We got a busy tone currently.
Somebody asked, which storybook is it, Lord of the Flies?
Oh, gosh. Let's
Cowboys
That
fans.
might be our third segment.
Lord of the Fives,
I kind of want to go through the comment section on the third segment. Let's go to Nebby in Silver Spring,
Nebby.
Maryland. Nebby, our guy. What's going on, Nebby?
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for taking my call. I really appreciate it.
Definitely.
Kyle, I want to start off by saying I want to thank you so much for the compliment you gave me last week when you said that I dissect this football team well. I really appreciate it, so thank you so much. Mm-hmm. And I also want to preach patience because I know our offensive line is struggling right now, but I'm really excited about, and I am very high on these two guys, and that is our two rookies on our offensive line, Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe, and I'm especially excited about Cooper Beebe because he can just maul whoever is across from him, and I really hope that these two guys, but especially Cooper Beebe, I hope that they will be members of this Dallas Cowboys roster for a long, long time. And one last quick thing before I go, and that is, even though I know this is probably not going to happen, I would like to see more of Deuce Vaughn on the field because, as I've said before in the past, I really think that despite his lack of size, if he were to get 15 touches a game, I really think that he would do really, really well for us. Take care. Thank you so much for being patient with me, and have a great week. Bye.
Another great call, Nebby.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Nebby.
you as always. Nebby's a true fan, for real.
Absolutely.
And he does. He dissects the team. I meant what I said last week, and he says it again here. I am also very high on the rookies on this offensive line, and this offensive line is a problem. It is not playing well right now, but it's not because of the rookies. Let me tell you a little secret. It's the guys on the right side of the line of scrimmage that are having some trouble.
That's not a secret.
That is not a secret. Not anymore.
We've been talking about it for weeks now.
It's the guys you didn't expect to be struggling. Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. You're two big money guys up front. Neither one of them are playing. I don't even want to say adequate football. They're both bad right now.
It's hurting the offensive line.
Bad.
It's hurting the run game. It's hurting the offensive line, and you're risking the health of Dak Prescott. Obviously,
yeah.
It's disappointing to see, but hopefully now that you have a little more solidified run game, I think that's going to improve. Now that you finally have, all right, this is the guy. Mm-hmm. Rico's the guy.
You think?
And
see, that's what I mean.
For all intents and purposes.
But
the inactives.
The problem is you can't know that until you know that, because Pittsburgh, he had a career day and then he was shelved. Yeah. Okay,
he fumbled at the goal line.
Fine. Other than that, had a career day. Okay, then he was shelved. Now he has another great day, averaged just under 7 yards per carry against the Falcons. I can't sit here and tell you that he'll be given the same number of handoffs when the Philadelphia Eagles come to town, because I don't know. There's this whole roller coaster of a ride with the running back by committee situation, and I see why Mike McCarthy doesn't, quote unquote, he doesn't like it as a play caller, because you don't know who the guy is. Even if you know who the guy is, it's maddening.
We all know who the guy is. Like, at this point, what are we doing?
Yeah. That's a valid question. Yeah. Now take that question and smear it all over everything. Apply all.
Oh, man. Let's go to Dylan in Northport, Florida. Dylan, you're back on Talkin Cowboys. What's going on, man?
Hey, you guys asked the question, sellers or buyers at the trade deadline. I'm sell all the way. I'm in pure evaluation mode at this point. To me, as a fan, I think the season's just about over. Putting on my GM cap, I want to evaluate these guys as much as possible to know, especially the young guys like a Deuce Vaughn. I think this running back room is going to be gutted next year. I understand that our boy's going to give us the best chance to win right now, but I don't really care because it hasn't been happening. I don't think we're going to win regardless. Too many more games. So I want to know if guys like Deuce can contribute even in just a gadget-type role. I want to see 10 to 12 to 15 carries just in one game. After that, do whatever the heck you want to do at that point. But the issue is with that mindset is that we have a coach here on a one-year deal, and the GM and the coach might see things differently.
Yep.
GM might want to evaluate players. The coach is fighting for his job. So I don't think we're going to see evaluation. I think we're going to still see competitive try to win mode. And I don't like that philosophy for where the team's at right now, but I think that's what we're going to see, going forward. But to answer your question, I'm selling as much as I can, and I'm trying to package picks next year to move up and either grab players or move up in the draft and grab, some young guys. So, yep. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, of course. Dylan always bringing the heat whenever it comes to this Cowboys team. He's very knowledgeable whenever it comes to roster building.
100% in agreement.
The one thing,
I like his plan,
and we talked about it yesterday.
Talked about that exact thing yesterday.
Same kind of thing.
Be sellers.
You got to make a decision if you're going to be sellers, because then you've got a head coach over there that has no tie to what the future is in terms of the Dallas Cowboys. If you are selling and you are conceding and waving the white flag in terms of the 2024 season. The thing I want to say here is a lot of times, and it's not always this way, but it does work out this way traditionally, is the value that you get at the trade deadline is not the same value that you would get on draft day. So there might be some pause. It doesn't mean if they don't make any deals and they don't sell any of their high-quality players right now, it doesn't mean that they're not going to before the draft happens. A lot of times the desperation, you talk about desperation and what the Cowboys did to overpay for Jonathan Mingo, a lot of times that desperation will fuel more compensation when you get closer to draft day. So don't feel like this is the be-all, end-all trade deadline. It's now or never. We're not going to sell these picks, and we're going to just pitter-patter down the stretch. You're probably going to pitter-patter down the stretch in 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't revamp anything going into 2025. But there's still ways that you can affect your football.
But tomorrow's price is not today's price, right?
No.
You're going to overpay now. If you are desperate, which,
it's also true.
For all intents and purposes, we kind of are.
And there are other teams that are desperate right now to try and win in 2024.
Exactly.
So maybe you make the trade for Mingo 3 weeks ago, and it's a 6th.
Maybe. Possibly.
That's where my brain is.
But there's nothing we can do as far as speculation goes. Like that. It sounds great in theory. It sounds great to sell everything now and like we talked about yesterday, gain as much draft capital as you can going into next year. I like what you're saying, Colin, that you can do that after the season is done, after we know what the result of the season is. And that feels like what's most likely going to happen. But I didn't expect to see a trade today. I really didn't. So maybe there's more on the table. I hope there's more on the table. I hope there's more moves being made today.
And hindsight is 20/20 always. I mean, that's just kind of the case. But you do bring up a good point. I mean, Jonathan Mingo, and Jerry said this, was on their radar. He was a 30 visit for the Cowboys. I mean, he was in the building. I mean, I got to sit down and talk with the guy for the draft process. They had him on their radar from the very beginning. I mean, that's
you just talk to everybody.
Man, whatever. Yeah, I talk to everybody. Dude. Very, very social.
Yeah.
Not really. The fact of the matter is that they could have made this trade previously, but they didn't. They didn't do it because they were trying to figure out what they had. They were trying to figure out if they, they were sitting at 3-2, 3-3. And then it unravels the way that it did.
But you were 5 games in at that point. So you knew what you had. You knew that Tolbert was capable wide receiver 3 with flashes of wide receiver 2. You knew that Brandon Cooks was on IR.
For a hot minute.
You knew that you were going to go up against the Detroit Lions and then the 49ers, and then you had to go visit the Falcons.
I agree.
These are things that you knew.
I picked them to lose all those
You knew
games.
that your offense...
The schedule does come out before the season starts.
It does.
You knew that your offense was struggling to no end as far as scoring touchdowns.
Sure.
So again, the only thing that's really changed between 3 weeks ago and today is the price to acquire Mingo because of your desperation at this point that didn't exist 3 weeks ago. But most of the variables were pretty much going to be the same. So it's proactive versus reactive. And as life teaches you, when you're reactive, it tends to cost you more. It's no different from when fixing your car, right? You can either pay for maintenance, regular maintenance, and you get your oil changed, or you can buy a new motor when those pistons lock up.
This is why insurance exists.
Yeah,
but you got to pay for insurance too.
I don't know if I fault them for not making this deal 2 weeks ago, though. I really don't. I know. I agree with what you're saying because deadlines make deals and desperation makes deals.
Caused the overpay.
Yes.
That's the crux of my argument.
But they weren't going to make this deal 2 weeks ago.
Why?
Are you being complete? I mean, the way that they look at this team is from an overly optimistic standpoint. I'm being just completely honest with the way that Jerry Jones runs this team and the way that this front office traditionally has run this team. It's with the rose-colored glasses that you like to see, hey, there's a way to fix this. There's a way to fix this. If only Jalen Tolbert could step up. Maybe we can use Kevontae Turpin as a weapon more often and get him the football in space, and he can learn how to catch for the first time in his career. There are things that you can hope can happen, that you could hope would hang out, and it's that hopium that we've talked about forever. They weren't going to make this deal 2 weeks ago. They may have had him on the radar, and they may have been looking for something like this.
There was a world-class philosopher that once said this statement, and it will go down in the annals of history as one of the greatest statements ever.
Who's it going to be?
Hope is not strategy.
Who said that?
Kyle Youmans.
He did. I'm not saying that's what I would have done. Again, I don't like the compensation. I want to just make it be clear, but I'm just telling you from the way that this front office thinks, this was not going to get done before the trade deadline was even upon you.
No, and
it was never going to happen that way.
As more losses pile on, the team will be more desperate. Yeah. The more. the deeper we get into the season.
Whenever you said a world-class philosopher, I was like, where is this going? I was thinking it was going to be like a music reference or something, and then you looked right at me. I was like, yeah,
Kyle Youmans.
Hope is not a strategy.
So, and our good friend David Hellman, love David to death, this is his tweet, and this is what I mean when I said at the top of the show, one of the reasons, because regardless of the Cowboys' track record with the 4th-round pick, the fact that it's a 4th-round pick for this situation and this player, not to knock the player, but it does, the value equation doesn't jive for me. So from David Hellman, Cowboys found Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, Tyler Biadasz, Dalton Schultz, Dorrance Armstrong, Jake Ferguson, and back in the day, Anthony Hitchens, all as 4th-round picks. Most of those are in the Will McClay era, okay? And now you've given up a 4th for Trey Lance. That's not panning out for you right now. And now you just gave up a 4th for Mingo for only 2.5 years of control. So even if you look at it as, oh, well, if you're fine with them using a 4th-round pick on a receiver next season, then maybe you're fine. I get the logic, but you lose a year and a half in that conversation. So when you start thinking about it in that capacity, and then you add like the tidbit that Josh added with you gave up more to get Mingo than you acquired by losing Amari Cooper, it just the value equation falls short for me.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our second break. When we come back, we've got Zeus in L.A. on the line. I want to hear from Zeus and the fans as we continue with more Talkin Tuesday right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Welcome back into Talking Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company. This portion of the show is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys, alongside Patrik Walker Josh Rodriguez, Chris Beam in the back of Kyle Youmans. It is a Talkin Tuesday, 888-855-2297. We love talking to Cowboys Nation. We've talked to Nebby and Dylan. We love talking to everybody. I mean, from all the way across the country. We've had truck drivers call in while they're on the rig. We've had people call in from their couch. We've had people call in from the beach. We even have people sometimes call in from the NFL Network studios where they are currently filming Good Morning Football. Zeus in L.A., you're on Talking Cowboys. What's going on, Zeus?
What's good, fellas? Yeah, my nickname is Zeus, a.k.a. Isaiah Ramon Standback.
By the way, for those that don't know, Zeus is actually your nickname. Like, that's an actual thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my boy Marcellus Kent, one of my former basketball teammates from growing up, called me Zeus because he said I used to throw lightning bolts. So that's how that came around.
And Brad Sham still calls you that to this day. Like, that's all he calls
does.
you.
As soon as he sees him, Zeus.
Yeah.
Well, as only Brad can say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also appropriate
What a
because
legend.
at 3 and 5 with things falling apart, I feel like we're in Hades.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Zeus,
that makes
Hades, yeah.
I'm currently looking at like fire behind you too, because your coworker Kyle Brandt is like on the screen right now with his angry run segment. So as soon as you said,
I thought that's who you were going to say. Who was on the phone?
Yeah. Oh, it was Kyle
NFL
Brandt.
Network. You're like,
Sorry to disappoint you, Beamer. It's our teammate Isaiah Stanback. Sorry.
Isaiah, who's your favorite Kyle that you work with?
Ooh. Oh, wow. There's only one KY, no jelly now. There's only one KY, no jelly.
Exactly. You don't even have a KB nickname. Well, that's lame.
It's the world famous philosopher.
Isaiah, tell me what you think about this trade. The Cowboys trade a 4th-round pick, and they receive Jonathan Mingo, former 2nd-round pick out of Ole Miss in 2023 at the wide receiver position, and they get a 7th round in return. Just kind of your initial thoughts after hearing the news out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, well, let's address the position. I think they did need to get a receiver just because of, obviously, Brandon Cooks is not there. Even when he was there, he was being underutilized. Now you have an injury to CeeDee Lamb, obviously, that he'll most likely play through. Then you look at the aspect that Jalen Tolbert's not giving you much in regards to his productivity on the field. So you did need somebody else to come in and be a playmaker. But when you start looking at what they gave up a 4th-rounder once again. Just like, last year they gave up a 4th-rounder for Trey Lance, which I know you guys already touched on, which you're not seeing a return on investment. You probably won't see a return on investment because he hasn't had any on-field time, which means that he's no longer a trade asset as the trade deadline approaches today. So you pretty much give away a 4th-rounder for a third-string quarterback, and now you're giving away a 4th-rounder just for financial reasons and for a depth move at a position group where he may or may not have an impact. Now, a lot of people are going to look at it and say, well, why didn't they get D-Hop? D-Hop was they gave away a 5th for D-Hop or a potential 4th. Well, it was all about the financial situation of the future, which we know the Dallas Cowboys are always looking at. They're always trying to figure out how can we get the most bang for our buck in terms of finances and not necessarily the most bang for our buck in terms of productivity. And I think that's where people and fans are starting to have a little bit of frustration in terms of this compensation that continually gets given away.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, the fact,
he nailed it.
Yeah,
to the wall.
The fact that there's going to be comparisons made with the Amari Cooper trade and the D Hop trade and all of that is to be said in outside of context and just kind of put it together. This is in context. It's a depth move for the future. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing really more than that you can kind of pull from it, other than the fact that you might have overpaid and sent a 4th-round pick. That's the one knock against this trade. It's a big knock. It's one that's not really what you want to see at this point in time. Whenever I think all of us, and Isaiah, you weren't on the show yesterday, but would you have classified yourself as in the let's sell category for the Cowboys at the trade deadline as opposed to let's be buyers?
You know what? I don't think they're in a position to be selling. When we talked about them coming out of training camp, they had a lot of trade assets because everybody was healthy. But now you're in a situation where everybody's injured, right? Your top 4 defensive ends are all injured. That's the most depth that you had at any position group on your team, and that's where all your trade equity was at. Well, now you're down to your 5th and your 6th string defensive ends, and now you cannot trade. Who are you going to get rid of? You don't have anybody on offense that you could trade. You have nobody on defense that's trade worthy. Where you're going to get in return an impact player, and that's where the Dallas Cowboys are at right now. If you're going to make a move, you need to make a move for somebody who's going to come in and have immediate impact if you're trying to save the season. Now, if you're not trying to save the season, then you're making trades for the future, and that's communicating whatever your thought process is to your fan base.
I'm waving the white flag. I'm not really worried about 2024. If I'm selling at the deadline, I'm waving the white flag. I get what you're saying. Like impact players, that's part of why I would kind of concede 2024 if I'm selling, is because you look at it. Where are you going to grab a guy?
You're just saying that because you host the draft show, man. You're looking out for yourself right here, buddy. No.
This is going to be an interesting draft show. I will say that.
I think if you're realistic,
we won't be talking 4th-round pick though.
I know, right?
Dang it!
If you're realistic, you have to look to the future at this point. I think just and I know you said we're upstairs probably overly optimistic, right? Yeah. But at this point, sitting here, what I would do is sell at whatever you can to build that
like
capital.
I said yesterday, I would have been a seller. I absolutely would have been a seller. But that's 2 trains of thought. It's our train of thought, but then the team's train of thought is, and like I articulated yesterday, if you were to be sellers, that's basically you looking at Mike McCarthy in the final year of his contract and saying, yeah, we're just setting the rest of your season on fire. Like that's just what it is. But
even then, though, see, like who are you selling?
Well,
who are you selling? What position group? What position group do you have enough value for a player to leave your team and go make an impact on somebody else's team? What position group can you pull from?
That's fair. And as far as being buyers, and you go out and you buy the rights to Jonathan Mingo, which is basically what the trade is.
Yeah,
for me, it's not just the compensation that's the issue; it's the timing of it, right? So again, if you make this move, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe you're not 3-5. Maybe you throw that, when you're trying to come back against the 49ers in San Francisco, and you're on that final offensive drive, and you go deep left. Maybe that's not Turpin. Maybe that's Jonathan Mingo. Maybe you come up with that ball, and then maybe the butterfly effect is possibly you walk away with that win.
Could be.
Maybe. So that's what I mean when I say it's not just the compensation, but it is certainly the compensation because I'm out on the 4th round pick. But if you wanted that player, you knew 3 weeks ago what the schedule was and that you were without Brandon Cooks and that the offense needed, an insertion of electricity and ... So that's what I mean. So those are my 2 biggest problems with it. If this was going to happen, it should have happened 3 weeks ago. Now that it has happened, desperation made you overpay.
Isaiah,
not good, Bob.
Who's the most famous person that's standing closest to you right now?
The most famous person, I would say, Jamie Erdahl's over here taking some notes right now. She's getting after it. I call her Jukum Jamie. We got Akbar, we got Bajavi Mila over there. We got MG over here with his feet propped up. So yeah, we're on break right now. And there's the Jerry Madelon. Jerry Madelon is in the studio right now. G-Matt is in the studio right now, suited and booted.
Yeah, I don't know why that wasn't the first name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Come on.
I just saw him.
Oh, thank goodness.
Shouts out to Jerry Madelon.
Tell Jamie she did a phenomenal job on the Skull Chant on Sunday Night Football. I thought that was fantastic.
Jamie, our Dallas Cowboys Talkin Cowboys podcast just said that you did an amazing job on the Skull Call. Hold on. She's coming on.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
I really appreciate that. I do. It was one of the most nervous moments of my life. It was like wedding day jitters, but it was an electric moment. And, I got the text about Jukum Jamie, way to lead the Skull Club from Isaiah. So I appreciate that from, who is this?
That's
Cowboys, Talkin Cowboys podcast. Love you guys.
Yeah. So wait. Before we go, Jamie, do you have a nickname for Isaiah?
It's back to Isaiah. It's back to Isaiah. So, no, they were about to ask you if you had a nickname for me yet, Jamie. I heard them. They don't. She hasn't came up with one yet.
Okay.
She hasn't came up with one yet.
Whenever she comes up with one, we got to know. We got to figure it out.
All right.
Isaiah, we'll let you go.
Madelon,
I know you're
Kyle
busy.
Youmans, and the rest of the crew says hello.
I say
Yes.
hi back and I say stuff.
Sounds good. Oh, there's G-Matt. I heard G-Matt in the background there. All right, Isaiah, we'll let you go. We got to get off the air, too. I know you've got the rest of your show to go, but we'll see you on Thursday, bud.
All right, fellas. Y'all be good.
There you go. Zeus in L.A.
Zeus in
Isaiah
L.A. Great call today.
Yeah,
Great calls. Great number of calls.
All the way across the board. We'll be back tomorrow. It's time to turn the page. It's time to turn the page because it's division week. Philadelphia Eagles come to town.
Mingo versus the Eagles.
Mingo versus the
Mingo legacy game.
Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver 1 when CeeDee Lamb's out this week. It'll be interesting.
Last time we traded for a wide receiver and they played the Eagles,
it went off.
He went off.
His name was Amari Cooper, not Jonathan Mingo.
Hey, man, we'll see.
Do you see how I'm looking at you?
Yeah.
Stop it.
We shall see. I'm feeling good about it.
Josh loves chaos, and I'm here for it. I'm always here
chaos
for it.
is a ladder.
I'm a chaos agent, if you will.
There you
An
go.
agent of chaos. Is
For
what
Patrik No C. Walker, for Josh Rodriguez, for Chris Beam in the back, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long from Talkin Cowboys. We will see you tomorrow previewing the Dallas defense versus the Philadelphia offense.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!